very welcome to our Innovation Fireplace, the Run Innovation Fireplace. We are appreciative that you can put aside time and join us for these online sessions. We are set to start. And once again, we want to welcome you. We want to welcome you to this Innovation Fireplace. It's a digital series, and it's digital just because we all must embrace going digital, moving forward, given the scenarios we are living in. But also, we need to prove that we are resilient against all odds, and we can quickly jump over hurdles to continue inspiring, educating, supporting the next generation of innovators, but also creative thinkers. So at the Resilient Africa Network, we have continued to operate remotely, given what is happening in the entire world. So as a result of that, most of our recent engagements, including the Innovation Fireplace, has been hosted via Zoom, and we've been privileged to host this weekly instead of monthly, like we had been doing before when we would meet physically. So just a little bit about the Innovation Fireplace engagements is that we try to record these sessions, especially the online ones, even the physical ones, we do record them for one or two reasons. Would like to broadly disseminate, but also further generate and widely share this knowledge, because some of our colleagues, brothers and sisters are not able to log on at this particular hour, but they will be able to listen to the recording and learn a lesson or two as we move forward. So as we engage this evening, we request that we all put off our webcams and our microphones. Let's turn off our microphones or mute them where we are, but also put off our webcams so that we do not compromise on connectivity. But of course, when you have a chance to speak or ask a question or share a comment, remember to unmute your microphone so that we are able to hear you clearly. We hope that it is therefore okay for us to have this session recorded. And my colleagues on the same call, kindly take note just in case somebody is not comfortable having the session recorded. But I'm sure that everybody will be comfortable, and we appreciate that. Thank you so much. So today, like you saw us advertising, we are privileged to host Doreen Lukandwa. She's the head of marketing and customer success at Beyonic. Bionic is a leading technology company that aims to eliminate the rampant use of cash in emerging markets by simplifying the deployment and management of two-way mobile payments. So in our conversation this evening, which is guided by the theme Cashless Transactions, the future is already here. Our theme is Cashless Transactions, the future is already here. We will discuss a reality very many of us predicted would happen many years ago, and one we are currently living, where seamless and transparent digital movement of cash is a requirement for organizations, for businesses, for communities, for individuals to especially stay afloat. We'll also be able to address all your questions on making the transition to operating as a cashless business. So as we move on with our discussion, we encourage you to post your questions and comments in the comments section or in the chat room. And like I said earlier, my colleagues are on the same call. They will take note of them and then pose them later at the end of Doreen's speech so that we can have responses to them. So once again, Doreen, you are most welcome. We are proud to host you, not because of what you do at Beyonic, but at the Resilient Africa Network. We are also very passionate about the girl child, about female thriving through technology and innovation. So we all have smiles on our faces, even if you cannot see us, but I'm sure our voices can tell that we are very proud
Yes,
to host a female. Yes, we are very proud to host a female this evening. And you are most welcome, and thank you once again for joining us for the Fireplace. So we are set to go.
Thank you for having me.
You are welcome, Doreen. We have a few questions for you just before we open up for the rest of the participants to ask their questions. So for us to set the ball rolling, Doreen, kindly tell us about yourself and a bit of your background so that we know exactly who we are engaging with digitally. Thank you.
Sure. So again, my name is Doreen Lukandwa. I have been in the fintech space or sector for over 10 years now. I was part of the team that started MTN Mobile Money in Uganda, and that was a very exciting journey. Just seeing how that changed from just a theory. For some people, it was witchcraft, and how that sort of transitioned into a way of life with so many agents across the country. I then joined a company called Easy Money that was also doing something similar, except using agents as a sort of a utility or one-stop stop for all digital payment needs, be it your TV, your electricity, and other services. And now I'm with Bionic, which is a role I've been in for over a year now. And I'm extremely passionate about what Bionic is doing because it's sort of taking my focus away from just the direct customer engagements, but more to the channels or the people that are doing the work or extending these services to the last mile. So that's me in a nutshell. If you have any more questions, you can post them on the chat.
Okay, that's good. Thank you, Doreen. And thank you for that, for re-echoing the fact that the chat room is open and we can already start to make use of it. So Doreen, the theme for our discussion today is cashless transactions. The future is already here. As someone who has been in this space, in the fintech space for some time, what does that statement mean for you?
I think that one, it's taken some time for people to understand what cashless transactions mean. I think that the biggest challenge that we've faced as an industry is building capacity in that sense, helping people understand what it means in a layman's terms and helping change mindsets from using cash to using digital solutions. So to me, it basically means, hope, it means opportunity, it means a borderless ecosystem, and it means an inclusive ecosystem. Before, if I take this pandemic as an example, before the pandemic, digital payment solutions were an option. If I did not have cash in my wallet, only then would I use my phone to send money to somebody else. If I didn't have cash in my wallet, only then would I use it to pay my TV or my water bill. But fast forward to where we are today, it has become a need because you're thinking about the security of the people you interact with. You're thinking about continuity of your businesses. You're thinking about extension of services beyond the remote situation that you're in at the moment. So for me, it basically means that it's a service that has been available for a while, but hindered and sort of barriered by a lot of challenges that largely have to do with people understanding what it is. And this situation that has forced us to think about essential services and what we need most is helping to change, to open people's minds to the possibilities of a life beyond cash. And in essence, that's what I think it means to me.
Okay, so basically it's life beyond cash.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm sure that life beyond cash is business at Bionic, where you are working currently. So what do you do exactly? And what's the value you offer to organizations or individuals or businesses or institutions as a player in the digital payment space?
So basically, Bionic has primarily focused on MSMEs. Those are your small, micro, and other types of businesses. And basically what Bionic has done is develop an enterprise digital payments platform that allows you to access as many mobile networks and as many banking services as you would like through a single channel. Bionic is currently serving customers in 9 countries across Africa. What that means is we take the whole borderless transactions and limits to a whole new level. Primarily what we are trying to do is help you and your finance department and your businesses eliminate the risks that you're typically used to when dealing with cash. For example, you're sending money to people in Gulu, you have employees in Gulu. That money may be withdrawn by someone who is not the actual recipient. You have to pay farmers in Fort Portal. That money may not actually be withdrawn or get to them on time or actually get to them at all. So Bionic is taking away all the risks associated with cash and replacing them with a digital solution that allows you to authenticate who you're sending money to or who you're receiving money from. It allows your beneficiaries to actually receive that money on time, which is important for your business. It allows you to have some level of accountability of all the payments that you're making to and from. And it also gives your customers a sense of comfort. There is confirmation of transaction. Even as the users of the platform, you have multiple levels of authentication or approval before any funds are distributed or utilized in any way. So Bionic pretty much stands on 4 key principles. One is we are giving you a lot of access, over 25 mobile money networks, over 30 banks through a single login. You do not have to deal with the hassle of going directly to each of these telecos or to each of these banks. We've done that for you. 2 is we give you as much data analytics as you may require for your business. So you have your reconciliation reports, but beyond that, we give you a higher level of reporting to support the operations of your business. You're able to tell which are your peak seasons, which are your low seasons. Then we are also very mindful of cost. So we've tailored our pricing models to the different types of businesses that we interact with. You may be a fintech startup right now, but then we also deal with banks and we also deal with different projects, refugee projects, for example. So we have different pricing models for those different sectors. And of course, the security features. We give you the level of comfort that you require to know that your funds are going to the right person, coming from the right person, but also within your organization, it is the right people that are authorizing those payments. So we are basically a digital payments toolbox for businesses, helping you get your funds where they need to be.
So, Doreen, thank you. In just very few words, what would differentiate your platform from these other existing platforms? For example, in ordinary mobile money.
The biggest differentiator is that we have spent the last 15 to 16 years refining our value proposition. So one, if you're dealing with a mobile money network, they will offer you the same channel, yes. But what we are doing is saying you don't have to go to each mobile money telco to sign a contract with each of them. We have already done that for you. So that is one differentiator. Two is the fact that through us spending all this time refining solutions specific to organizations, we have put in place the reconciliation reporting, the data analytics. We are able to integrate with third-party tools like QuickBooks, like Salesforce, and so many others. So we basically take the digital payments solution to another level, specifically targeted at businesses and organizations that have a need for this. The other huge differentiator for us is that we have an inbuilt customer authentication tool. So before you pay anybody, we are able to confirm to you that you're actually paying Doreen and not paying Grace. So should you wish to continue and pay Grace, you have the track record, you have that report showing that, you know what, we were supposed to pay Doreen, but we decided to pay Grace instead for these reasons. So we've basically spent a lot of time refining our proposition to suit the kind of customers that we are targeting. So for any business that is struggling with a lot of cash transactions, you can't reconcile. If you're using mobile money, you're paying using a phone, that means you're paying one person at a time. We have incorporated all those, we have looked at all those challenges and incorporated all those solutions into one interface. So just one login and you have access to this bouquet of services.
Okay, thank you so much, Doreen. So to move on, we want to tap into your experience. And from your experience, therefore, what would you say is or was the most prohibitive feature or features of digital transactions for the small and growing businesses in Uganda?
I think largely one of them was a lack of awareness, just understanding exactly what digital payment platforms mean for them. I think predominantly people have assumed that cash is cheaper. And yet when you think about the number of people you have to hire to deal with that cash, when you think about the amount of money you lose through funds being misappropriated or funds being credited to the wrong person and you have no ability to reverse that transaction, and things like that, then people were not, they would never look to digital payments as an alternative because in their minds, it's something that they're used to and it's available to them and they're used to the challenges that come with it. So I think that has definitely been one of the hindrances to the growth in that space, but also cost. I feel like cost has been a major hindrance as well. And that's why even during this season of COVID, the Bionic team came out to say that, you know what, for the next couple of months, we are going to waive our transaction fees to support businesses in a bid for them to continue operating, to continue paying people, to continue to grow and earn a living, and to continue to support the different communities that they're in.
That's good. That's very good that Bionic is actually living to what is happening currently. And therefore, Doreen, in your opinion, how has this coronavirus pandemic impacted on the operations of Bionic and maybe the business sector at large? If you could throw some light on how you have gone through the past few months where we are all struggling with the pandemic and share impact of the pandemic on the operations of Bionic and refer to the business sector at large. That would be good for us.
So I think sure. I think it's definitely hit all of us extremely hard. I think everybody for a minute was not sure on how to proceed, where to go from where they are to the next step. I think broadly speaking, there has been a surge in the digital space from unexpected players, like the smaller companies who are dealing in groceries, pharmaceuticals, and healthcare services, to mention but a few. I think there's definitely been an increase in number of businesses like that. I think there's been an increase in the microcredit space, where you find that people are borrowing for utilities, are borrowing for other essential needs. There's definitely been a surge in e-commerce transactions, and not from your typical sort of behavior trends, but more again to essential needs. So by and large, I think that there's been a hole that has been filled by digital payment solutions at this point in time. I do feel that there's still a couple of companies that would like to, or have not been made aware of these digital solutions, but otherwise would be doing a lot better right now. As Bionic, I think for us, the question was, how do we help? How do we support the people that we work with, the people that we interact with on a regular basis? So even internally, because we support multiple countries, we have definitely honed in. We are generally a distributed company, so we can definitely share some insights on how that has worked for us. But it's definitely meant that we needed to all come together and put our minds together on how we can support other businesses, whether in the fintech space or other sectors. And that's how we've come up with a lot of ideas around how we can interact more with them, help resolve any issues that they may have in their respective spaces, but predominantly offering them the best quality of service that they can find on a digital payments platform. So I think, in short, we have dug deep into what we can do for the different communities, sectors, and businesses that we serve. But also across the board, there's definitely been an increase in people who would have been considered the small players in the market coming in to take on these digital solutions, and are continuing to scale and surprise the world.
Okay, thank you, Doreen. We wanted to tap into your knowledge and expertise moving forward. How do you think that those changes that you have listed as a result of the coronavirus pandemic, and of course the trend towards a cashless economy, would impact startups and innovators? First, I'm sure you agree that it would largely impact on the innovators and different startups, but how would you think that would happen?
I think this is a great opportunity for startups and innovators at the moment. I think what I would advise is focus on what need you can solve. People are not, right now everyone is focusing on what they need the most. So they're not necessarily going to adopt a product that they may not need immediately, or for their families or for their children, but definitely things that will actually plug a hole, be it agri-tech, be it edu-tech, be it healthcare, be it fintech. I mean, there's so much happening at the bottom of the pyramid. Beyond that, even just in our communities where we live, where we work, there's a need for something. So I think my advice would be take the opportunity, take on the challenge, and identify solutions that actually solve a particular problem. And that would definitely give you scale. I would also recommend interacting with people who have done it before. There are so many different associations. I love what RAN is doing. There are groups like FITSPA. There are so many different associations and platforms. Even on this call, I can see quite a number of people who would be open to giving advice, sharing their experiences, and best practices on how you can approach different things, but primarily focus on addressing a need, solving a problem that is within your reach.
Yeah. So biggest catch for innovators and startups right now is to focus on the need that you can solve, but also the priority of the communities at the moment, because nobody will then focus on what is not itching or what is not priority for now.
Yeah, and what is non-essential?
Non-essential for now, and also focus on trying to engage and interact a little bit more with all the platforms that we have currently.
Correct. I think this is a prime time, again speaking to the theme. I think this is a great time for a lot of the innovators and startups to think differently and play differently in the fintech space.
Okay. Thank you, Doreen. Dear participants, do we have any questions for Doreen at this stage, or for even the RAN team? Because we are quite a number on the call. We request that you post your questions to the chat room so that we are able to read them out, or please raise your hand and then use the icon to raise your hand, and then we'll give you an opportunity to ask your question. Yeah, I can see PJ. PJ, can you unmute and please share your comment or ask your question? Thank you.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you, PJ?
I'm fine, thank you. PJ is actually a short form for Peter.
Peter, okay.
Joseph. I'm in Nairobi.
Yes, Peter.
And I'm a practitioner of law. And my focus is on intellectual property law. I practice under the group called Amani IP, which is also based in Uganda and Tanzania, and Kenya, of course. Okay. Now, what I wanted to understand, actually, this is very insightful because, you know, for us lawyers especially, we do just like dealing with the law without knowing the practicality. So I wanted to ask the question to Doreen, because from how she has explained, I think I can call myself a layman on matters fintech, but I can understand exactly what she said. So my question is, I want to understand how she maneuvered the legal terrain in terms of intellectual property protection, and whether that's a challenge or whether that is something they doesn't think about it, or generally how she goes up, how you go about it. And that is not Doreen, but any other person who is involved in whatever you people are doing. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Peter, and thank you for joining us all the way from Nairobi. We are proud to engage with you. So Doreen will get back with this response. Let me take another question. Yes, I can see Joshua. Joshua Numwesigwa. Could you unmute and speak to us, please?
Thank you, Harriet. Thank you, Doreen, and thank you all the participants that are on the call. My name is Joshua Numwesigwa. I'm calling from South Sudan. I'm based out in South Sudan. I work for MTN South Sudan as an IP engineer. So my question for Doreen is, actually I've tried out with Bionic. I actually have a proof of concept that we are running with Bionic for one of our products that is about to be launched in the market. I I've created an account, I've logged into Bionic and browsed here and there. I wanted to ask her, apart from what I understand, there are two core services. They handle payouts, and also they do collections. So for example, if you want to pay people, you can use their platform. Or if you want to collect money from people, you can use their platform. I wanted to know if there are any other services that have not been pointed out that they offer, so that maybe she can elaborate more and tell us, apart from those two core services, what other services can we get from Bionic? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Joshua. And Doreen will get back to us. Can we have a third question so that we give Doreen a chance to respond to the first three? Natasha, are you with us? Do we have anything from the chat room?
Yes, so we have one question from a participant here on the chat, Solomon, who is asking whether Bionic is active, if one of the countries you mentioned you're active in, if one of them is the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Okay, so as we wait, thank you, Natasha. As we wait for other questions, dear participants, Doreen, do you want to respond to these three for now?
Sure. So I guess I'll start with the last, which is the easiest. So we are not yet in the DRC. We are currently in Uganda, Kenya, TZ, Rwanda, Zambia, Nigeria, Ghana, yeah, Malawi, Somalia. So those are the countries that we are in. But we are working on scaling to as far as the DRC. We are open to having conversations with strong partners within the countries that we wish to scale to. So should he want to have a conversation around it, we would definitely be open to that. Okay. Then the next one from Joshua. So Joshua's question was around other services that we offer beyond payouts and collections. So we currently we've recently signed a contract with the GSMA for a product called the IPN Hub. It's something that they were piloting and under them as the GSMA, and that has since been moved to Beyonic effective 1st May. So this service basically allows us to support solar companies that are extending their services to people in rural communities, in rural Malawi, Tanzania, Rwanda, Kenya, even in Uganda. So that's definitely one of the other services that we have, trying to extend easy access to utility companies that are looking to extend those services to the last mile. We also do a lot of data analytics. That would definitely be another product that I would highlight for businesses that specifically just want their data to be analyzed differently. We can also support with a lot of other third-party integrations if you need that service as well. And note that we go beyond just app integrations. We also support with USSD solutions, which means that if you're dealing with people who are not tech savvy, we can provide you with that option as well. So by and large, those are the main products. But I think it's also important to note that when we speak about connection to third-party services, it means that we can also integrate with a POS device, we can integrate with a biometric solution, we can integrate with card solutions. So we've done that for a lot of other partners. And we have the capacity to take that to project level. So for example, if you have a project with refugees running in the Sudan, we can actually come in and help you manage that aspect end to end. So those would be the extra products to speak of at the moment.
Okay.
I hope that answers Joshua's question. Sorry, so the first one was from PJ around intellectual properties. So yeah, we basically maintain the laws that apply within the countries that we operate in. Ultimately, that is how we've operated across the board. I don't know if JP that helps, sorry, PJ that helps, or if you need more information on that.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if he's online, maybe we could have a further conversation, but because we are in all these different countries and governed by the respective laws, we pretty much take into consideration what is applied locally within those respective countries.
Okay, and you also mentioned, Doreen, that you actually try to work with partner institutions in those countries where you operate. So I'm sure they are intellectual property related policies and guidelines for different institutions that you engage with, other than
Correct.
the country ones. Yeah, so maybe leveraging from those also could be helpful to Bionic. Yes, so participants, do we have any other questions for Doreen? We still have some minutes. Let's leverage from her knowledge and expertise. Please feel free to put up your hand, use the icon to put up the hand, or type through to our chat room. I think PJ has more for you, Doreen. PJ, do you want to unmute and speak to us?
Hello again.
Yes, please.
Hi, PJ.
I'm good, thank you. Now, I've listened to your answer, and I wanted to make a follow-up question, because the nature of my question was, in addition to just maintaining the law of the countries that you are at, that is almost automatic. But the exact question was the protection that you undertake on your part to protect your invention, and that which you do, so that if someone else was to try and do it and try to leverage or pass it off, then you can defend yourself. So I was actually asking about whether you have done any particular registrations with those respective countries. I don't know whether that's clear.
Registrations.
Because you know intellectual property is registered.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to know whether you have done any of the registrations, and if you have done, then maybe which ones. Because I'm looking at it in terms of you protecting your whatever you do against the rest of the people.
So PJ,
Okay, so
sorry.
oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Doreen. I was just interjecting. I guess you're asking whether Bionic has kind of protected the software that they've developed, like whether they've registered it in the different countries that it's being used currently. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but and then because I'm sure
So
yes, PJ, I think was making adding to clarify.
Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yes, I was saying, in addition to having registered those softwares, for example, there's that other aspect of maybe the licensing and whether you are the regulators, you have any interactions with them, and then if that the answer is correct, then the type of interaction you have with the regulators, or whether you are actually not regulated at all.
Okay, so I guess the answer to your question is yes, we are licensed in each of the countries that we operate in. Of course, there are different bodies in different areas. For example, TZ, it means we have to go to the BOT, which is the Bank of Tanzania. The same applies in Rwanda. And those are all sort of due diligence requirements that we have to go through and processes to get a license to operate as the kind of service provider that we are. So I hope that answers your question. And even from a broader sense, even as we partner with a lot of these telecom companies, we also sign specific legal contracts with them before we can extend any of these respective services. So the short answer to your question is yes, we definitely do pronounce ourselves, are registered, and are bound legally for each of the services we provide.
Okay. Good. Thank you, Doreen, and thanks, PJ, and everybody else. I think, do we have any other question?
Yes, I think I would ask one question to
Yes,
Doreen,
thank you.
given her experience in the fintech space and the transitions she's seeing now. Doreen, do you think this mode of payment, this digital transaction, would eventually replace cash transactions altogether? Do you think that's a possibility? And if so, if not, why?
Doreen, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I think I missed part of the question. You said if so, and if so, I missed the last bit.
I just said, if not, why? If not, if you don't see digital payments completely replacing cash, what would you think the reasons why they can't completely replace cash payments would be?
I think ultimately it'll take time. I think it's definitely possible as people continue to see the value in digital payment solutions. I mean, the cost is lowered, the borders are sort of diminished totally. It builds a credit history, a trail for sort of add-on services, whether it's credit insurance, medical insurance, and as another example. So I think it's something that could happen, but I think it's still going to take time for people to adapt to it. But I also think that there's a lot of work to be done in terms of capacity building and education, helping people understand what this means vis-a-vis cash. There are certain areas or segments that I think will take longer than others, like your extremely rural communities where this is a way of life. So until we are able to actually address those things and clearly help people understand the value in digital payments, that it's not something to be afraid of, but something to embrace, then yes, it's possible, but I think we're still a miles away from that. But I do feel that a lot of work has been done in getting there, in getting people sort of financially included through this channel. And all these activities around financial inclusion are helping to accelerate that level of awareness, that level of participation, because when you're using a platform like this for bulk payments, you're paying more than one person. That means that whole group of people will start to understand that, okay, when I receive money on my phone, I don't have to remove it, I can save it, or I can send it to my family, or I can use it for something else. Unlike when you receive cash, we've heard of instances where the person is either robbed on site or the funds are misappropriated and things like that. So it definitely requires a collaborative effort to get to where we want to go. So yes, it's possible, but I think it's still a while away.
Okay. Thanks, Doreen. Joshua would like to say something more, but Joshua, maybe before you do that, I think we have some additional questions. Doreen, when you collect and receive payments on behalf of a partner or a company, to which account are the financial resources stored in trust during the active transactions?
So we basically have we own bank accounts. So basically we are by the bank or by these different relationships to. Hello?
Yes, you're
Can you hear
breaking.
me? Okay.
You're breaking, but
yeah, so we basically have specific bank accounts and bank relationships for such instances. So if ever anything happened, you would definitely know where you could get your funds from. And of course, the central banks in the respective countries that we operate play a very crucial part in that. So we are, again, heavily regulated, heavily audited. So it's our duty to ensure that your funds are secure. I will take this opportunity to speak to an article that was recently published about an incident in which Bionic featured around sort of cybercrime. And this is an incident that took place over 2 years ago. And from that particular situation, I think a lot of one thing to mention is that none of our customers were affected, in the sense that it happened to one customer whose employee had logged into their account erroneously. So, but we made sure that all our customers were not affected by it. So had we been any other type of flimsy organization, that could have brought down the whole organization with all its partners and their funds. But customers' funds are always protected. So in that particular instance, we were able to help the client apprehend the employee based on the audit trails and features that the platform provides. And since then, we have continued to build on our security features that a lot of our customers enjoy at the moment. So we are more in the habit of, or in the attitude that we hold, is we learn from the experiences that we gain. But I would definitely advise a lot of the startups and a lot of these organizations, as they continue to scale, that even during this remote working environment, it's very important to pay attention to things to issues like cybercrime, to issues like cybercrime, and to understand what the underlying causes are, because based on statistics, over 42% of cybercrime is done or due to staff who have left disgruntled or things like that. So as an organization, we've been very strong and strict about that internally, but also in the features that we have continued to build for our customers.
Yeah, thank you. Joshua, do you want to unmute and speak?
Yeah,
I see you.
Thank you. Thank you, Harriet. I wanted to ask Doreen, if there is, because from what I understand, you have a wallet to bank. That is, if you're doing collections, you collect from people's mobile wallets and then you bank to the partner's bank account. And then if you're doing payouts, you take from the bank account and you deposit on people's wallets. So I wanted to understand if there is a sort of reseller model whereby if I'm a company, I hold several other wallets for smaller businesses to help them also do cashless collections. Yeah, I hope you understand my question.
No, sorry, could you repeat the last bit?
I wanted to know if in your model of operation, if you have like a reseller model whereby you have a bigger company handling other transactions for smaller companies. For example, if you have a bigger company that is overseeing other smaller merchants, you have like a reseller model where this one bigger company would have different small wallets for other small businesses.
So typically to us, the bigger company would be the client. So
Yeah.
our contract would be with you, and then you would define the terms for how you relate with the smaller merchants. But to add to that, we do have a provision for multiple wallets. So especially for like NGOs that may be dealing with multiple projects and things like that. So we provide for all of that, or even the smaller organizations that need to cater to, let's say, per diems and maybe salaries and whatever, we are actually able to cater for multiple wallets. So the short answer to your question is yes, but not in the sense that it's a reseller contract. For us, it would just be you are the client, and then how you deal with your customers is entirely up to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Doreen, and thank you, Joshua. Doreen, we have another question. Solomon has a follow-on question, and he's asking, is there a requirement for the partners to as well be regulated as financial entities by the central bank?
Is it possible for Solomon to confirm which partners? Is this the ones we deal with in respective countries?
Yes, I think that's what he means.
Okay. Not necessarily. Ideally, that would be our responsibility. We basically just need, it helps when we are dealing with someone who knows the lay of the land of the respective market. And then we would do the rest of the heavy lifting.
Okay, so they don't need to be regulated?
No, that would be our responsibility.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Edmond, your hand is up. Please unmute and speak to us.
Yes, hi Doreen, hi everyone.
Hi, Edmond.
Thank you. My name is Edmond. I work with Airtel. Doreen, in regards to you do B2C, right?
Yes, we do.
Yes, let's say I've sent money to a wrong number, yeah?
Yes.
Yes. How long does it take Bionic to initiate a reversal once I've notified Bionic? What's the time, turnaround time to that? Then also, what are the charges? Yeah, are there charges to that, or it is free of charge? Then let's say the time out in your system, yeah? How do I get to know that between this period and that period, there were time downs of the platform and transactions were failing? And let's say I have IT resources that are available to do direct donation to Bionic. What would be the requirements and what would be the duration to complete this process?
Okay, so regarding reversals, we typically give a turnaround time of 24 hours. The reason I say 24 hours is because a reversal involves third parties like the telcos. So we will start the process immediately and we will keep the customer updated through that whole process. Should this actually be completed in less than 24 hours, we alert you. But ultimately, we say no more than 24 hours. As Bionic, we do not charge for that. We basically just apply whatever has come through from the telco. So if there's no charge applied, then the same falls on the customer. How do we communicate when there's downtime? We always send an email notification to all our partners when there is a downtime, and we immediately notify them as soon as it has been restored. We also make sure to explain what has caused the downtime or where specifically it is, so that you're aware and can plan accordingly for your customers. And then lastly, in terms of integration, so what would happen is you could send us an email or just check our website. We will give you access to our API documentation. Your technical team can have a look at it. We will then add you to our developers group where your technical team can seek guidance or help or have any questions answered in that regard. We'll then assign you an account manager who would then take you through the rest of the onboarding process. But it's pretty straightforward. As soon as you've had a look at the documents and your technical team can plug and play, we then assign somebody to you who will help you through the rest of your journey with Bionic, which includes training, setting up the accounts, and all of that.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any last minute question, or we would love to bring this to a close? Do we have anybody with something really itching to ask Doreen? I think there is none. Allow me to once again thank all of you for being a part of our Innovation Fireplace. This is the digital series. Thank you so much, Doreen, for being available and accepting to be hosted on this platform. And thank you so much, all dear participants. We do not take your time for granted. It's a learning platform. It's a platform that enhances knowledge sharing and generation. So we are proud to be able to host this and to be able to bring people like Doreen up front to speak to us, but also to educate us and share experiences in different sectors and in different walks of life, and all the details that she has been able to share with us. We really hope that this discussion was meaningful to each one of us, and you've learned a lesson or two, or taken home a few insights from Doreen and all of us from the engagement. And we hope that we've contributed to a bit of your knowledge and a bit of what you know and what you can share out there. We request that you're ambassadors of the Innovation Fireplace. This happens at the Resilient Africa Network. It's usually a face-to-face event, but because coronavirus, we have decided to co-opt going digital and being able to continue to engage with all of you. So the details for our next engagement will be shared via our different communication platforms, including Twitter. Twitter is at Africa Resilient. Please follow us. And we are also on Facebook, Resilient Africa Network, and on LinkedIn. And you can also reach us via email. So once again, would like to thank all of you. Our recording will be available for our reference, but also for our further sharing. Natasha, I'm not sure you have something to say.
Not really, just to say thank you to you both. Thank you, Harriet, for hosting, and thank you so much, Doreen, for making the time to speak to our broad audience of innovators and entrepreneurs. We know this session will be extremely beneficial to them, so we're grateful. And also we're grateful for the mentorship you provided some of our fintech solutions in the past, and we look forward to engaging you further.
Yes,
Thank you for hosting me.
You're welcome. Doreen, before you go off, sorry to interject, we have somebody requesting for your email address and your telephone number. Is it okay for us to share?
Yes, it's fine. You can. Sorry, Natasha has my details, so that should be fine.
Okay. We will share. Thank you. Please go ahead. You had a few comments as we close.
Oh no, it was just really to say thank you for the opportunity to speak during your digital fireplace. I look forward to seeing the rest of the team one day soon.
Great.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves. Dear participants, keep washing your hands, keep the masks on, And let's tune in at 8 p.m. to listen to the President of the Republic of Uganda as we try to put efforts together to fight the coronavirus. God bless you and take care of yourselves. Thank you. Bye-bye.